like we're live. Great. Well, thank you, Ashley. Well, welcome everybody. We're here in the middle of August. Can't believe it already. It's August 14th, 2019. And, folks are getting back to school and people are ending their vacations, which also means a little more activity in the Atlantic Ocean here on the East Coast and for hurricane preparedness. So today what we're going to talk about is how can you best prepare yourself, and what are some of the things that you need to think about as you're preparing for this season. Actually, coincidentally, the season actually now it starts officially on June 1st, so we're a little bit behind, but certainly there are opportunities to get prepared at any time. So that's why we're here, and that's what we're here to do to help our community in regards to safety. So with that, we'll talk a little bit more here about our hurricane preparedness. And what is hurricane season? So hurricane season, again, like we just talked about, starts June 1st, but it goes through the end of November. But really, what they're looking at is any tropical storms that have a sustained amount of high winds that what the Weather Service would deem as, here's you'll see on the screen, 74 miles per hour or higher. So here on the East Coast, PunchAlert, we're actually in Charlotte, North Carolina, so we're a little bit a ways from the ocean. However, we do get severely impacted with the rains and high winds. So with that, it is very top of mind to a lot of the folks that we deal with here on the East Coast that are in our community and who Ashley speaks with in our PunchAlert community, who are helping with incident response and safety. 2018 hurricane season. So last year, wow, $50 billion in damages. That's a big number. You always kind of wonder where they get these numbers from. But this is, our source was Wikipedia on this. But certainly some of these storms don't always, hit land, but they certainly do make a major impact. Over the years, the tools that are out there and the weather forecasting and the alertness has been much better in preparedness to at least give folks fair warning to be prepared if an evacuation is necessary, or just to be prepared for inclement weather. So with that, you can see here on the screen, we had several different storms, but a major hurricane, only 2 of them became major. So the 8 hurricanes were high winds and water. With that also, so who's kind of the core folks that are supporting all of this data and information? It's actually NOAA. I'm fortunate to know the former data scientist, the chief data architect for NOAA. I was fortunate to meet him a few years ago, and NOAA has the longest history of the world's climate in their database. So pretty neat stuff when you look at what NOAA does from a government entity here in the United States, but also a lot of the apps that you use, you may not know this, but they're actually pulling data from NOAA. So kind of a cool little tidbits and interesting facts that I learned from the folks at NOAA, who just do a great job of tracking weather and tracking climate, and then giving that data and those data resource tools actually to the public. So there are ways, if you're in that realm that you want to figure out how you can have access to that, go to the NOAA website and check it out. There are opportunities there for that type of data. But really, first and foremost is, hey, what are the tools that you need to go to? We put here on the screen 2 websites that you can look at under the weather.gov, which is under the guidance and data from NOAA. So these are the core resources that we're using from the government. They tend to be the tip of the spear when it comes to this type of preparation. There are a lot of other great resources out there, but knowing the source and the data, the weather.gov does a really great job of giving you any and all information that you need very quickly and very readily available. And it's also at no cost. So a great way for you and your team and your business, or even your family members, to prepare for hurricane season. With that, what are some of the hazards that you need to think of, right? Those hurricanes that might come directly into your facilities, whether that's your business or your schools or your community or your homes. The biggest thing that we've seen over the years and we've heard specifically here in North Carolina, is a lot of the deaths statistically typically come from drownings. So again, that storm surge and flooding is a high risk to you and your business and to your family members and friends and and business partners and employees, right? So don't discourage even if you are further away from the coast, that a storm surge can impact your business. Had a client of ours that was along the coast in Florida, and their property was underwater for 2 weeks. So that really kind of impacts not only their business, but also the people that are living there, their family members, and then also what happens after those hurricanes. Also, what the National Weather Service will talk about too is taking care of tornadoes, right? Because of those high winds, they do see a high propensity for tornadoes. Doesn't mean that they're always going to be there, right? But again, these are just guidelines for you to think about as you're preparing for hurricane season. Current information. So again, we talked about NOAA. Great thing is always be checking their websites. We know there's a lot of great apps out there, depending on how you're checking these types of things. But you certainly can subscribe to certain apps that are out there. Again, we're really here to provide some information in regards to preparedness. If you start with the NOAA website, you can really see what's going on. This is actually a screenshot from today. So fortunately, knock on wood, there is no activity in the Atlantic. However, we know that at any time that can change during hurricane season. So definitely use their tools. It's readily available. Again, it's free at no cost. And personally, just searching through their website, it's very clean, very easy to read and get a lot of information from. So check out their website. It's a great tool for you as you prepare. So as you're preparing, how do you want to prepare? So we want to kind of make it quick and easy for you. Three things that you should be preparing for, right? Is, hey, have a plan, right? What's my pre-plan? What's my plan? And then, hey, when that storm is entering our zone, for either whether you're there physically or you're helping maybe branch offices or branch facilities that you have, how do you want to take action? And then also you need to think about, hey, what happens on the aftermath of the hurricane? Again, if you go to the weather.gov, there are a ton of tools out there. We didn't want to just lay down all of their to-do list. They have great tools there that again, we want to be that resource to help you as you're looking through hurricane season. And how do you prepare? Again, think about, how do you want to plan? How are you going to take action when it happens? Whether, hey, that storm actually is going to hit, or maybe it comes by, or maybe we have to make sure our employees, our staff, members, whatever type of business you might be in, how are we going to protect them, and how are we going to communicate with them to let them know that our facilities are going to be closed, or they are closed, or what's going to happen afterwards, right? Think about those types of actions that you want to take. And then after the hurricane, right, there's a lot of different subsets that you're going to need to think about, right? What is local and state and federal agencies, and how are they communicating to you and your environment? Again, what we've seen in the Carolinas is typically a lot of it's flooding, on top of sometimes the horrific damage that comes from these high winds and these storms. But again, those storm surges is what we've really heard local authorities here in the Carolinas really harp on, is because they know how dangerous these storms are, and the high water that comes with them. So here are some things to think about before the storm of what you want to do. It really comes down to your emergency action plan. So if you have an emergency action plan today, you're really going to see a lot of this stuff's going to be very familiar to you. If you don't, that's okay. Reach out to us here at PunchAlert. We have access to some templates, or we can provide some resources to you. But again, these are the kind of the highlights of the things that you want to think of as you're preparing for that storm. So again, that emergency action plan that you're using daily in your day-to-day business. Think about how that impacts when it comes to these storms, but also these storms also relate to fire and other emergency actions that you might have to deal with based on the type of business that you do. Before and after. So here's Hurricane Harvey. This was 2017. in the great state of Texas. This is actually Houston, as you see here, the before and after of Hurricane Harvey. Pretty devastating up there, right with Katrina that hit New Orleans. 125 billion is what they're saying the damages were. So that's more than double of what all the hurricanes were last year. That's just for Houston. So as you see here, as we've been talking about, that storm surge is tremendous. The impact that it can have on your city and your buildings, your property, and your assets. So those are things you definitely want to think about, right? Again, and we talk a lot about water here, but it's not just damage, right? It's just the things that you can't control, and how long is it going to take for that storm surge to subside? It could be days, and it could be weeks in certain instances. So with that, what we also see out there from a PunchAlert perspective, since we're in the emergency response industry, is there are a lot of great systems out there that are protecting your property and helping you with that. But what we have seen is a lot of these pieces of equipment are really kind of single threaded. They don't really talk to all the other types of technologies that you have. So what we've seen with our business is we built an app that allows you to have mass notification using all of the tools that you have and assets that you have today. So at the click of a button, that's what PunchAlert is doing. And for our enterprise folks, we're even tying it into their ERP and their workforce management. So as folks think about different apps and different tools, we're certainly we're that piece of the puzzle that puts together your safety, but also your emergency response. So not everything's an emergency. We understand that, but there are incidents, right? Daily incidents. So incidents that we're seeing from our customers. Selfishly here in the Carolinas, we had a lot of rain last year, and that brought on a lot of different animals on the folks' property. And here in the Carolinas, we do have venomous and poisonous snakes. So being able to identify an unknown animal on your property, being able to take a picture of that and sharing it with your safety and incident response team can really help people out during this day and age of the smartphone, right? So with that, that's what PunchAlert has developed, is that one communication platform for you and your team, so you and your business can respond to emergencies within seconds. So this is a quick little screenshot of our platform. When you open the app on your smartphone, whether that's a Android or an Apple iPhone, you just clearly just click press on or punch on the red button to report your emergency, right? And then this gives you the availability to make any choices that you would need to in an incident, right? So again, during hurricanes, you might not be able to call 911. You might have to text the 911. Here you see the YMC, the Morrison branch of the YMCA. You might have multiple branches, and your team might need to report different things for different properties, and those you might not be on site because of the storm that's there, right? You might be off site somewhere. But also we talked about other incidents that are just kind of your day-to-day incidents, right? These aren't the critical emergencies or medical emergencies or a fire. These are just your everyday events that happen. Car troubles again. Hey, with what's going on with the hurricane, people that can't get out or having issues getting onto your property. Maybe there's deliveries coming to your business. How are you going to be able to get that? So again, what we're seeing within the emergency response community is how do we make this day-to-day empowerment of our employees? So that's what the feedback that we've gotten from our clients. And Ashley, with you being our Vice President of Community Engagement, what are you seeing out there in regards to hurricane preparedness, storm preparedness, and giving employees that engagement and that empowerment?
Yeah, so I think what's definitely the most important is I see a lot of businesses can do a lot to prepare for the emergency ahead of time. But I think what they tend to lack in is that aftermath of the emergency. I was literally just on a phone call this morning with a security professional, and he was talking with a school system, and they just happened to be talking about severe weather and having to house a large amount of folks within their buildings to protect them during severe weather. And then the security professional asked him, okay, so then once the severe weather has passed, what is your plan after to take care of that large group of your community members? And they didn't necessarily have a plan in place. They just said, well, I guess, so I think that part of the continued conversation is, really talk about the what ifs. What if this happened? What if that happened? So that you can plan for, all, the life cycle of the actual true emergency.
No, that's great. And again, from a hurricane perspective, right? Your employees and staff might be dispersed, and they might not have access to power. They might not have access to to their computer to respond. So having an app is pretty intuitive. It's probably the number one thing that most people are going to make sure they have battery life for, right? Is their smartphone, because that's their number one way to communicate. So again, that's kind of what we're building. And then you see here on the right the announcements. So we are tied in with national announcements. So if FEMA were to make an announcement, that can be delivered to you and your team or your staff, however you would see that appropriate, right? So again, we're blending in all the tools that you need to combine into one platform, so that you can be prepared for these types of catastrophic events. Hopefully they're not, but you're prepared, right? Which always helps us mitigate any risk and safety concerns. So with that, quickly we'll also show you. This gives you the ability to. We talk about report emergencies, post tips, and you can send announcements. So you can actually send your own announcements as well. Let's say there was an incident. In this case, Greg is talking about a fire, right? There's smoke in the lobby. You'll see how Ashley is part of the first responder team. So what happens with the PunchAlert app is you're communicating within your first responder, so it's private. This is not going out to your entire organization. These types of the folks that have access to the app, they're all sending all the information to your first responder team, so they can assess the situation and make the necessary decisions that they can do you and your staff. So here on the left, you can see very intuitive. There's a lot of buttons. You can picture if you had to. So a hurricane, maybe that visibility shot, picture of something is extremely important to the safety and the response of what you're doing. So again, this is very intuitive. Look at the buttons that PunchAlert has designed here. Same exact look of what your Droid or your iPhone is. We didn't go outside the box and go creative in regards to creating new icons. So very very intuitive, easy to read, quickly to communicate, quickly to respond. Because as we all know, seconds really can be very impactful to what's going on. We also see from our customers is check-ins, right? Is making sure people are okay. So specifically for our folks in education, there's teachers that are going to fire drill, making sure all of their students are okay. They can check in. Same thing with your staff. Make sure folks are checking in to make sure they're okay. You can, if somebody didn't check in, you can take the necessary steps to do that. But also, you'll see over here to the left is our fire checklist. You might have certain checklists that you need because of state law, local law, maybe your corporate counsel feels that you need to have that insurance policy, OSHA, which every business is under requirements. So certainly it's something to think about, right? As you have folks that are making sure that they go through that checklist to have everything you need to make sure that everybody's safe and accounted for. Just quickly would show you, what your status is. Real quick, you can kind of see if you're okay, not okay, or So, and you can quickly, your staff and the team, whether it's your internal responders or your senior leadership team, or it's your staff or members, depending on your business, you can quickly let people know if you're okay or not okay. And then you can also do by role. Ashley, this was something new that our clients requested. Can you talk a little more about what that means, status by role, and how important our customer engagement is to help build the app for our safety community?
Yeah, so this is definitely one of the features that I absolutely love because it gives internal responders or your first responders or your safety team the ability to see at a glance who needs your help now. It allows you to drill down into, who's okay, who's not okay, because obviously you're going to want to see who's not okay, right? And then you're going to want to drill down even further into their profile to see exactly where they are. It's going to share that information with you. Now, based on Wi-Fi access points or Bluetooth beacons set up on your campus, you can know exactly where that individual is in relation to that Wi-Fi access point or Bluetooth beacon because you can set it up on the back end and label it accordingly. Second floor, west wing, or however you would label it for your buildings. So the importance here is, again, being able to see who needs your help the quickest and being able to find them on your property as quickly as possible as well and get them the help that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. I mean, again, you think about all different case scenarios. If somebody needs some help, or you just need intel to deliver it back to as you do your post hurricane checks, right, to make sure that hey, the property is okay. If you have merchandise, property, if you're checking for water damage, power, etc. Those things are going to be critical. You're not going to be able to take your computer with you in most cases, right? So having that smartphone app that you can communicate with everybody on your team is going to make you ultra prepared for hurricane season. So we do run into everyday incidents, right? We talk about power outages, certainly with the hurricane. That can be an indefinite amount of time. There's a lot of unknowns and how fast these crews can get out there and fix things. So things that just that you want to think about, right? So again, we highlighted this before, but these are ways for you to kind of do your mass communication. What we're also seeing clients do is they might have a couple different apps for mass communication. Now at their fingertips, they've got one app that they can do all their mass communication with, right? So if they wanted to send out just an email, they could. If they just wanted to send out a text message, they could. Or if they wanted to do everything, right? They wanted to include social media, a phone call, all of the above. That's the real neat part of some of the upgrades and intuitiveness and AI that we've built into the app to help really at your fingertips within seconds make those calls and those judgments because if that storm changes route and goes a different way, definitely want to be able to communicate as quickly and as fast as possible. And this, real quickly, you just punch these alerts in and make your team safe. So we also talked about FEMA, right? So there are alerts in here that will give our app users access. So again, as you're looking through these things, again, think about if you have a power outage, you might not be looking at your computer, you might not have every app. Every app might not be always working, right? But we are tied into FEMA and other announcements. So again, giving you that one app that kind of covers everything as such as what we're hearing from our clients. When it comes down to your safety communication plan, these are really the things that you want to think about, right? 911 even and be available again with high waters or damaged property or in roads. How is 911 going to work? Is it going to be effective? So the nice thing there is you also have a chat. But with PunchAlert, what we've seen with mass communication is we give you that two-way chat, right? What some of the challenges and feedback that we've heard from folks in the emergency response space is that look, there's some great tools out there, but that was a couple of years ago. I need to be able to chat with folks two-way when necessary. So again, giving you those types of options. That plan, when you have your plan, your hurricane preparedness plan, you can have your checklist built in so that your staff and your employees know exactly what they need to do when they need to do it. That's obviously in regards to keeping people safe, but also you might have insurance and legal reasons to have that plan followed accordingly, right? So with that, again, just kind of high level things that you'd want to think about during the life cycle of what's going on, and here look, again, flooding, right? Making sure that you're getting into 911. What they're saying is 1 minute can save up to 10,000 lives. In regards to 911 Plus, it's a little bit more accurate than what your standard 911 is. And Ashley, do you mind talking a little more about 911 Plus?
Yeah, so what's really important about 911 Plus is dialing 911 within the PunchAlert platform is number one, it's not going to lock up your phone like it would if you were to just call 911 from your regular, mobile device. The other thing is it will send your name, your phone number, and your location to the dispatch center. It will also route you to the nearest dispatch center that is nearest that location. What we find is with our mobile devices, it doesn't always, the GPS doesn't always put us exactly where we are. And so with 911 Plus, you can actually check the location to make sure that it's sending the exact address of where you are. So you can manually change that, which then will route you to the quickest responders that can get to you the quickest. The other thing about 911 Plus is that if you did need to call 911 on behalf of somebody else, let's say you're on the phone with somebody and they're having an emergency and you need to call 911 on their behalf, you can actually manually change the address to their location, call 911, and it would route to that nearest dispatch center to them, which you definitely cannot do for calling 911 on your normal device. The other thing from an organization perspective is that you have insight now into who's called 911 on your campus, so that you have the recording of that call, and also you can help triage the situation, reach out to that individual and see if they need assistance, or is it, or find out if it's just a false alarm as well too. And then from an internal responder perspective from your organization, just that insight to see that somebody's called 911, and then when it will also notify you of when they're off the call. You just have, like I said, better insight into the situation and know, who needs help and where they need help. So 911 Plus is definitely a feature that is only found within the PunchAlert system. There is one other company that does it, but they don't have as an enhanced version as we do incorporated into their platform.
Yeah, so we'll also see folks that have large pieces of property, right? That there might not be employees, staff members, students, whatever it might be, right? In those cases, we have some sport teams, right? Well, when an event is not at their arena, they need to be able to be accountable for a lot of space, but not many people there. Their staff, right? They need to make sure that it's safe and it's secure. But having that those 911 capabilities, especially for folks that have large pieces of property, could be extremely important. So thanks for sharing that, Ashley. That's great. In regards to a new product launching, what we've launched also is a physical panic button. So we're calling it Rescue with our friends from the YMCA here in Charlotte. And they asked us that, hey, what if we had a water device panic button for our lifeguards when they hit the water, that this panic button would trigger an alert, right, to our staff and our team, and in the right situation, even start dialing 911, right? So what we've built here is you'll see the speaker where you have you can have announcements going off, right? If there's an emergency, you can make a tone or make an announcement. But also you'll see here's a wearable in regards to, it looks like a watch. And then it's a little bit smaller than a double A battery in regards to its length, but it's a little bit wider than a double A battery, but not like a 9-volt battery. So we're kind of an in between size here, but again, physically you can punch that rescue button, and that will start an alert. So for folks that might not have access to a smartphone, or maybe you don't want them to have that because they're working on a forklift, or they're working on some heavy machinery, and they're not going to have that access, right? So having these physical panic buttons are really important, and we're actually seeing in the law in New Jersey, hotels are now requiring it for their housekeeping staff. So having physical panic buttons can be very, very helpful in the right situation. Even if you might have part-time staff or volunteers. We do have several religious groups in regards to churches that have safety and security staff that are volunteers. So they want to be able to give them a physical panic button just for during the time of them volunteering, and they can turn it back in. Again, here's kind of a blow up of the actual wearable, so you can wear it as a physical watch if you'd like to. But you also notice that there is a clip here, and this clip allows our customers do a couple different things, right? So you can clip this onto your person, discreetly, right? If you wanted to put it on a belt, if you wanted to, here on the bottom you have a lanyard, right? If you wanted to have a lanyard and you wanted to put it, underneath a shirt or a blouse, right? To make this panic button be non-discreet, folks not knowing that you have it, but that might be a situation where, depending on your business and your environment, where it needs to be. So again, very multi-purpose in regards to its functionality, and can even be put on a keychain. It's small enough to fit on a keychain and not be too burdensome. So with that, when it comes to community engagement, Ashley, can you talk a little bit more about some of the testimonials from some of our customers?
Yeah, so Kenna is the Director of Safety and Security and Emergency Management from Providence Day School. I think they have about 1,600 students and staff. She has been a longtime customer. And in this situation, PunchAlert, they had a storm and a power outage, everything else failed, and PunchAlert came through to be able to keep them connected, right? And be able to communicate with one another. You never think about your systems failing, not having access to email or your phone line. But in that case, they had a power failure, so they didn't have anything but their smartphones. And so obviously she was very elated to be able to communicate with her students and staff. Brian Warren is a director of Carolina's healthcare system, or formerly, and is now known as Atrium. They dealt with a bomb threat. And typically when they've dealt with bomb threats in the past, it takes hours to resolve. And they were able to resolve it within minutes, which, is just, again, something that is unheard of. So they were very excited to be able to use the PunchAlert platform to communicate and streamline that communication and reduce that response time and get that resolution a lot faster than they were typically used to. Now, Kimberly Conroy is, one of our longest customers. She is the association risk manager for the YMCA of Greater Charlotte. They have over 40 plus properties, probably over, 100,000 staff and members, and are just very excited about the PunchAlert platform because they didn't have a way to streamline all of that communication in one place and be able to account for that information. And so when they came across the reporting and tracking alone of an emergency, not even getting to the point where they could communicate and respond to situations that happen on a daily basis at the YMCA's, it was just a no-brainer for her. She felt like she had found the solution that she was looking for and has grown with us. And we are so thankful for her as a customer and truly a partner, because she provides us feedback and, hey, if it could do this, that would be great. So we've learned so much from they have incidents like every single day, multiple times a day. So they're very well versed in emergency response. And the other exciting thing about the YMCA partnership is that it brought a direct connection to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. And so now both CMPD, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, and the YMCA are on the PunchAlert platform. And so when any of their situations happen at any of their campuses around Charlotte, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department has direct insight into what is happening with that emergency and is able to see the streamline of what's happening, or the timeline, I guess, of what's happening, so that by the time they get to the location, they already know what they need to do to help. So that's been a huge aspect of the PunchAlert platform evolving. And then we have Cameron Corder, the CEO from the Cleveland County Family YMCA. And what was super important to him is he's not always on campus. And so for him to be able to have insight into what's happening on campus, and in this case, it was a lockdown because of an active shooter that was in the vicinity of his building. It wasn't that it happened on their campus, but it happened, in a neighboring organization. And, he was able to then manage the emergency at his location from afar because he was not on campus. And so for him, that was huge to be able to still be there for his employees without having to be there, right? Because as leaders, you're not always going to be on campus. You have business needs that you need to attend to that are offsite. And so for him to be able to manage and be there for his employees was huge.
It's again, being off campus, right? That's a super stressful environment with the risk. Again, as you're preparing for hurricane season, having the right tools and the right plans can help you be successful and keeping people safe. So with that, we'll turn over to questions and any answers that we can help. So Ashley, do you want to poll our participants to see if there's any questions that they have?
Yes, I'm just looking right now. So one question would be, where can we find pricing for PunchAlert?
Absolutely, yeah. We have it directly on our website, so you can find pricing there. However, every business and situation is different. Certainly, you can contact me or Ashley. My phone number is right here, 980-785. So yeah, we can chat with you more about what you're thinking about, because we have two types of teams within our pricing. We have folks who are the administrators and that first responder in that licensing realm, and then we have just your normal everyday users. They're priced differently because they don't need as much access, right? They're there to help communicate. However, all the tools, the reporting, and the administration needs that a first responder and the administration staff need. So just let us know how we can help you. We'll set up a call or a web conference call with you.
Okay, great. And then also, I'll probably answer this question, timeline for training and implementation. So we work hand in hand with your organization to determine what that looks like, and we can roll it out as quickly as you need to or as slowly as you need to. Again, just working hand in hand with you to understand your plans, processes, and procedures, how you want to communicate it, and how quickly you want to roll it out. But typically, we can, for smaller organizations, we could take a couple weeks to a month. And really, a lot of that is going to be your testing and your drilling with your safety team to understand the nuances of the platform and how it's going to best fit your plans and procedures and processes. But we can get you direct access pretty much right away. You can start testing and playing in it. And then we get you trained and implemented. Because when it comes to safety and security, we do take a little bit more time during our training process just to go over kind of the risks and the liability if you don't know certain things when it comes to safety and security. And we want to make sure that you're covered in all of those aspects. So those are just some of the things that are important during that training and implementation process.
Yeah, and the other thing too is we do have customers that want to tie it into some of their existing safety and security tools and assets, and those typically come with some sort of API integration. So it's just us doing our due diligence with you and your team to get that situated with PunchAlert. So like Ashley said, it could be as quick as a week or two. It could be as long as a couple of weeks.
That's all the questions we have. We're always here to answer any others that come up. I want to thank you all for your time today. I want to thank Mike Shirobi for leading this topic on hurricane preparedness and how the PunchAlert platform can be there to support as a communication solution and to keep your folks connected and informed. Again, my name is Ashley Davis. I can be reached at ashley@punchalert.com. And then, of course, Mike has his contact information there. Please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer any questions you have, and we look forward to helping you grow your community of safety.
Absolutely. PunchAlert.com, we do have, contact us on our website as well. So whichever is easier for you, our phone number's on that website as well. So whichever is easier, contact Ashley or me. Or just go to our website. So thank you all so much. We hope that you have a safe hurricane season. With that, you guys have a great day. Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.